It's Friday night. I did not have a chance to work on this at all during the week, too busy. But finally, about 5, 6 o'clock, I was able to get to it. I'm not sure what time it is now. It's actually pretty dark. The camera makes it look quite a bit brighter than it is, but got the form in, and this is 18 1/4 inches, 18 1/4 inches, and then it sets back about 7 inches. I've got about a 3-inch gap behind the grill that gives me at least 2 inches for the framing that'll go back there, and quite a bit of a setback. 7 inches, it's going to look very nice. You can see right here I doubled up this board because originally I went with 32 inches out, and I changed it back to like 29.5 or something. And I found something interesting. So the measurement from here to here is different than from here to here. So I had to remeasure my form, make sure everything was square, and it turns out this wall is a 1/2 inch crooked. It goes backwards 1/2 inch. And I had to decide, am I going to keep my form square to the back wall, or am I going to follow that wall? And of course I decided to keep my form square because this will have a granite piece right here. There'll be a piece of granite that goes all the way between the two columns, and then there'll be a piece of granite sitting on top here that comes over, and the granite will touch the stucco here, but down here we'll make up that 1/2 inch gap with a spacer, shim some sort, and then this cap will cover all of that, and it'll look perfect. We have to be mindful of how straight that is back here because the grill is very long, and the gap between the granite and the back of the grill needs to be exactly the same the entire distance of the grill, because you'll see it when you stand right here. And now that I'm thinking about it and talking about it here on the video, I think what I will probably end up doing is curving this granite. So I can have this piece of granite come way out to here, come across, and then curve in and go behind the grill. And that might give a little bit extra space to stick something. It'll certainly look interesting. So maybe I'll do that once we're that far along. Anyway, the next step is to caulk in the entire form. I decided to do that because I don't want any concrete leakage anywhere around it. So what I'll do tonight is caulk in everything, all the seams, and let that dry overnight. And then tomorrow we'll lay some rebar and pour some concrete. And then that's gonna have to sit for probably a day or two. So that gives me an excuse to go out on the boat or something. Anyway, progress. Here's what this looks like, caulked in. You don't have to worry about it being a mess because it's all going to be covered. But I didn't want any concrete to get into this drain, and I wanted the seams to be nice. So I put a dab where all the pavers are, and then all the way down. And I could pick up some of these pavers if I thought that I needed them. I'm not going to bother, but with my luck I'll crack one out here and really wish that I did. Anyway, that's it for tonight. Ready for rebar and concrete in the morning. The reason I put steel in it at all is two reasons. If I don't finish the floor of the cabinet, when you open the door, I want it to look nice. And unfortunately, right here is where it is most likely to crack, where this little kick out is. And that, of course, is where the cabinets are either going to be open or doors. I haven't decided yet. The more I get into this, the more I'm leaning towards two doors, two stainless doors on either side. The other reason why I put steel in it is if the pavers settle at all, say they settle just even a 1/4 inch, it's going to bring, potentially, it'll leave a gap and crack around the bottom. And the weight of everything could bring it down, and you'll end up with a gap between the granite and the backsplash. Whatever we decide to do here, there'll be a gap. What I would rather have happen is the pavers settle. I notice the gap between the pavers and the bottom. I fill it with a construction epoxy, and I'm done. Regrout it in, whatever it is that I do, and it'll be done. I don't think it's going to settle. I don't think it's going to move, but the steel, it's just, might as well, right? Anyway, it's time to start mixing concrete. Here's a close-up in the daytime of all the caulking that I put in to keep the concrete in place from leaking out. And I might be able to pull some of that out. I might not be, but I don't care because you'll never see it once the finish tile or whatever we end up doing on the fronts of the cabinets is in. All right, time to pour concrete. Well, that took 10, let me think, 10 bags, I think. Pretty sure 10 bags. And it actually has a very, very slight slope out. And so it has a very slight slope out and forward. I didn't actually realize that until I was, making sure it was level. And that's actually good because if any water does end up back there, it'll roll forward instead of backwards. I mean, we're talking like 1/4 inch over, 10 feet. So nothing you can even see, but came out pretty good. Let's sit for a day and pull the form off. It's a little watery up here. I could probably break out another bag and dust it and then float in the dust, but it's not worth it. It'll be fine. And what I think I'm going to need to do is glue down the pieces of the aluminum, and then after about a week or before everything gets closed in, I will send them in with Tapcons, because I learned my lesson trying to send Tapcons into concrete that wasn't cured for at least a week. Longer is even better. So I'll wait and Tapcon in the frame at the very, very end. I'll just put it down with liquid nails in the meantime. Anyway, that is it for this week, because this will sit for all day. I think what I'll probably do is it's Saturday, right? So I'll pull the form off tomorrow, and then that'll be the end of the video for this week. All right. Now for beer and boating, I think that's the ticket. I went over it with the broom. I'll show you a close-up. By the way, the little black thing is a zip tie from this battery on the GoPro setup. The tab, I didn't cut it off, and that's that black thing that you see in the last couple time lapses. Pretty annoying, but I cut it, so it's gone now. If you take a broom and just lightly sweep the surface, you sweep out any little high spots that you might have left from leveling it, and you also get this nice finish, nice broom swept finish. And you do actually get quite a bit of gravel, or it's not really dust, it's sand, concrete sand, and we're just going to let that dry off, and then I'm probably just going to vacuum that, because I really don't want it to end up in the drain. So I'll probably vacuum that off tomorrow once this is completely dry. But by going over it with the broom, you really smooth everything out. The aluminum box beams are going to lay really nicely on it now. And it's just a waiting game now to let it harden up. Came out really nice though. It's really level, solid. I think that steel in there will keep it from cracking. And it's going to be a great foundation for the cabinet. So I let this set up overnight. It's hard enough to take the form off. I wanted to show you how I attached it real quick though. I just put 2 Tapcons in right there on a 45 into the wall, and then I put 2 Tapcons over here into the wall. This will be covered with tile. I couldn't send anything down into the pavers, obviously, because we'd end up with holes. But those 2 Tapcons and those 2 Tapcons, combined with the number of screws that are in the frame, and believe it or not, the caulking does hold it in position pretty well. That worked perfectly, by the way. There was absolutely no leakage, so I'm looking forward to seeing what that looks like when we pull it off. And other little things about the form, I put these 2 braces in right here because I was worried that this would bow. I didn't want that to happen. And then these 2 little screws here, what I needed to do was, this was twisting this way slightly, so I needed to push this board that way, and I was able to do that by loosening up this screw, putting in these 2 screws as a spacer, put the screw back in and I was able to twist the form. The form is actually slightly twisted here. You can see this board is twisted, but I think because of the liner that I put in, that door skin liner, I think that's going to be pretty straight. If not, it's going to be straight enough. So let's go ahead and pull the form off. Came out very good. Got a couple spots that are a little thin of concrete, but that's not going to make any difference at all. And it's very, very level, which is great. And it doesn't collect water. Just a little spot right here, a little bit of water right here, a little bit of water right here, but for the most part, all the water rolls off, so there's no low spots. And the caulking worked very well. Kept the mud all in the right spot. There's a couple little concrete stains that I can just scrape off or use a little acid to pull off later. This here is actually paint. I think this is paint also, but a little acid will take that right up. So that is about it for this week's work. I'm going to let it set up for a couple days and then start framing out the cabinet. All right, I can't move that grill by myself, but this is how this layout will be. Kind of interesting. The side burner is perfectly flat and the sink has a slight overhang. So they're going to look a little different, I think, because I didn't measure this, but from here to here is just longer than from the sink down. I'm sorry, from here to here is shorter than the sink. But I think it'll be fine. What will happen is the cabinet under the sink, the door will have a greater space here than it will there. And we'll just have to deal with that. This is the space that will be in the back. Pretty generous. And the whole point of this was to allow room to stand and get to the sink easier than if I didn't do this U shape. As far as the silicone, you can still see some of it in there, right in there. The silicone never hardened. It did its job, but it never hardened. It was sticky, and when I was removing it, like it was freshly done. And because of that, it just washed out. It's water soluble. I'm glad I didn't use an oil base or a silicone based caulking, because I had to use a lot of water, but the water pretty much liquefied, and I was able to rinse it out into the grass. And there's just a few little pieces and they'll just dissolve over time. So I would do it again, but it was a real mess trying to get all of it out with the hose. You can see under there, there's still some in there. Maybe it'll dry, maybe it won't. Maybe the combination of just all the moisture from the concrete being held against it overnight just never let it cure. I did screw this up a little bit. You can see right, I guess this is a good angle. This is actually slightly crooked, but it's nothing I can't fix with some shims. And there will be an overhang over this. And I did that on purpose because I did want to tile this, but I'll just have to put a little mud in there that will take up that gap. It's not even a 1/4 inch. And it's mostly because the concrete just didn't, I mean, these rocks are all solid in there, but I didn't, vibrate it enough here to get the concrete to mix in with the rocks as well as I did in other places, clearly. Anyway, looks pretty good. I think this is gonna be nice. All right, well, thanks for watching. We got a lot done this video. It might not seem like it, but this was the basis for the entire project. I got the slab framed, the size decided on, got it poured, level, got the frame off, and pretty happy with the result. Next week, I'll start framing the cabinet. I'll get the refrigerator out here, get the refrigerator in place, because I think what I'm gonna do is put the refrigerator in and start framing around the refrigerator. And instead of using just box measurements, I'm gonna use the actual fridge in place to start laying out the framing. And that'll be next week. So that's actually a pretty exciting part of the project. It'll start to take shape. So as always, thanks for watching. Please subscribe. I think what I'm going to do is start posting videos on Saturday for just random videos, just different things. Yesterday I posted a video on exploring this abandoned bowling alley. I'll put the link right up here. So if you haven't seen that one and you're into that kind of stuff, please check it out. So Saturday I think I'll post just completely random videos, and on Sundays I will continue to post the continuation of this project. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. See ya.